Okay, so here's how we do this setup. Actually, I'm going to get out of this for a moment just so I can make sure I've got a level. Yes, I see audio, I see level. How you doing? Let's get back to recording again. So what we've got going, this is the editing system here. Here you have your source files. Here's your sequences. We're up here in this corner. This window, quite frankly, you could probably collapse and give yourself some more room on this. This here is our source monitor. This here is the record monitor. And then, of course, down here is the timeline. What you've been asking for, and it sounds like in your last email you're getting close and you were able to accomplish what is necessary. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to try and drop a video in here. You can drag it if you want, or you can even double click it. So see, you double click it. If you drop on this arrow up top, by the way, clear monitor, if I grab it and drag it, same thing. What I've got here is a video that my church and I have produced for Sunday school classes. So you can see it's our program. Plus, if you notice, there's a few areas that we can jump around. There, of course, is our Zoom meeting. There's this pre-produced stuff that we take. And then there's also, we go back again to this back here. So here you've got an in point. Here's an out point. The center is play. Obviously it plays. I see audio going. This red one is what's called an overwrite, which means it takes all the footage that you've put in and out here. Hit the red, it goes on the timeline. If we look through this timeline, it pretty much is everything I just did. If I go Control Z, remember, just like Word, Excel, and everything else, Control Z is your best friend on this production. So just remember that, Control Z. The yellow one that you have here, the yellow one is not a problem to use, but what it does do is it splits your video. Now, granted, there's nothing on the timeline, so if I hit yellow, it doesn't do anything anyway. But if you notice, let's say right here, if you look at the sequence monitor or the timeline monitor in the right corner, you see my cursor moving on footage. But if you take the splice, you know what, let's see this Living Creek in the front here? We will take the Living Creek. Now, if I hit splice now, notice the cursor is right here. So if I hit the splice, well, it just dropped. Should have dropped. I'm not seeing it. There it is. It dropped it in the middle of our timeline. Again, if you want to clear monitor. Now you notice the sequence here is going to come back up to the sequence bin. Notice the sequence bin says Paul 2. Now, if I go ahead and make another sequence, okay, well, it says untitled sequence 2. Your best thing to do is you click on it and change it. Sequence 1. I'm just going to write sequence 1. You can write in there whatever you care to write. This one I think is a mistake. It shouldn't have been here. So I'm going to get rid of it. If you want to get rid of something, just highlight, hit delete on your keyboard, and this window comes up. Mark it that you want to get rid of it. It'll never be marked. It's always a safety feature so you don't lose your material, and then just hit OK. And now you see it's missing out of the sequence bin. Same thing can be done over here. If you tag something and want to get rid of it, it'll be gone. I'm going to clear, this is the sequence monitor. I'm going to clear this timeline. Okay, now you were asking, well, I've got 3 programs on a tape. So the good news is, like I said, we've got this. I've got this thing in the middle, and then I have this thing on the end. So technically, we've got 3 segments on this video. So what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and set ourselves up. Now, what you can do on your keyboard when you get real close and you can't get there exactly, see, it's a little hard because this is 25 minutes long, is what I'm doing is trying to find that right spot. Well, let me show you a trick. This is our source monitor. This is our sequence monitor on the right. Down here on the timeline, when I had something on this timeline, it was always in this sequence monitor. If I want to work on this source monitor, well, it would be nice to see a timeline. Come all the way down to the bottom of the window, and you're going to see a little toggle down there. And you see the window comes up, it says toggle source record. If I click on that, it looks like 2 little windows, kind of like the source and the sequence. So if I click on it, now there is my source timeline. So now I can find where this starts. See, I want to lose this title. Let's consider this like your bars. You know, the bars are coming on. These 2 graphics at the start are like the bars that you want to get rid of. So we can come along this and try to find the end of it. Now, of course, you see where it's a little difficult to do this cursor the way I am. It'd be nice if this timeline was more focused. Follow the cursor down to the bottom. See this little thing here, scale bar. If I move this scale bar, what it's doing is zooming in. So now I can do, if you notice this spade over here kind of grew. If I go even further, look at all that space now, but it still has not been budged. If I go again, now, here we are. We'll get right up to the start. There's black, the start of the program. Now, if I want to move this cursor on your keyboard, you know you got the 4 arrows, up, down, left, right. If I press the right one, notice it moves frame by frame. If I move the left one, it moves back frame by frame. Now, if I put my in point, remember your in point's up here. And if you want to use the shortcut should be the letter I. Sure enough, it is. So I'm going to shrink my timeline. So now if I hit my bar, notice that's the start of this part. Now, I'm going to move the cursor, This is technically our first program, the way you were doing it. So if I keep going, see, this is that second program. I'm going to use the arrows on the keyboard to go frame by frame. There's the end. Now what I'm going to do is use the O on the keyboard, or out, or you can use this right here, mark out. There. Now I've got the in and out of just this program. Now I'm going to come back down here again. Remember, this little toggle down here will jump me back to the main menu and the sequence line. Well, obviously, as you see, we have nothing on the sequence. I've got an in and an out of that first program. I hit overwrite, or the red arrow. Now, all I have on this timeline is program 1. If I go to sequence, here it says untitled sequence. I'm just going to change it to program 1. So we got program 1 up there. Now, if I try over here, I'm over here in the source monitor now. If I try setting up that second program and put it on this timeline down here, I'm going to wipe this timeline out. So we got to get this timeline out of here. You come up here on the record monitor or program monitor, come up to the program 1, the little arrow on the side, and clear monitor. Notice, hang on, notice there is footage there. When I move this cursor underneath the sequence monitor or program monitor, this one over here is moving on the timeline too. So you can see that. So if I come up here and go clear monitor, notice the timeline is now gone, and notice the window is now empty. There's no cursor in there for me to move. Okay, now we're going to come back to the source monitor. This is that video, that long video with 3 chunks. I'm going to come down here, down to the bottom, to that toggle window. There's my toggle window. Now, the nice thing about your out here, your in and out here, if we go to that out point, we have the out of the first program, which is also going to be the start of the second program. So if I set it up there and do my in, I'll come up here. Remember, the letter I will give you an in point. If I hit the I here, boom, now I got a start point right here on this second segment. I'm going to keep going down the segment. This is a fairly lengthy piece. Whoop. Notice we've gotten into the third section. So we're going to come back to the first part, right in here. So there's the end of it. Again, I'm going to go to the keyboard and use the left arrow and find my point. If it's more than 2 or 3 frames, it could be like 20 frames, just hold the arrow and it'll just keep moving really quick. So there's our end. I'm going to put my out. Again, I'm going to use the O, but I'm going to come up here so you can see it. I've now clicked the second part. So now if you look up here on the source monitor, I've got an in and an out for that second program. I'm going to come to the bottom, jump out of the toggle window. So now we're back in the sequence window. I'm going to hit the red. Now notice we have the second program there. If you come up to now we're going to go back up to the file window. They're the bins. These are called bins. The clip bin and the sequence bin. Notice I got an untitled sequence. We're going to change that to program 2. You've now got program 2 locked in there. Now remember, we're going to go to a third project. We got to get rid of this one. We got to get rid of this timeline. Remember, we come all the way up in the upper right corner where this green program 2 is. You'll see clip name menu, clear monitor. Again, it's gone. Now we're going to go to our third one. We're going to come down to the bottom. Remember, we've got this out point, and the cursor is right there. So if I hit in, that's going to be the start, as you can see, of the third segment. So we're going to go to, okay, where are we at? And I think I just locked up. Nope, there we are. Just a whole bunch of extra on here. Okay. So we'll come to the end of the third program, which is right. This is another piece. So we'll stop right before this graphic. So there we go. We're at the end here. Now you notice there's no fade out here. We'll show you how to fix that if you want to. So come over and you'll do your out point. This is your third program. Go back to the toggle again. Come out of the toggle. We're going to put it in the timeline. There it is on the timeline. Notice it's in our third window. If we come over to our clips, notice untitled sequence. We're going to change this to program 3. So now we have program 1, program 2, program 3. Now, if you remember, this ends with this. The timeline, okay, come down to the bottom. Remember how I showed you this thing makes things bigger? We're going to do that here. I want to get way at the end of the timeline for you so you can see it. Notice we get to the end and boom. Not to mention if I play it, everything stopped pretty sudden. Just boom. Kind of like hitting a brick wall. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a little fancy work here. Come up to the menu bar, up above the sequence and clip windows. See tools, kind of like right in the middle. Hit tools. Go to effects. There it is. Effects palette. It's like right in the middle. And you're going to get this window. Notice up top, there's filters, transitions, audio track, audio clip. The only thing we're going to worry about is transitions. Click on transitions. Then go down to the list of choices. We want to get off of all because you only need to worry about a couple things. So we're going to do blend. Notice there's one in there that says dissolve. Click and hold the mouse. And then you're going to drag it to the timeline and drop it down. Supposed to. Why did it not do it? Okay, let me. Oh, let me correct myself. I totally messed up here for a moment. Well, what you could do is see the timeline down here. In fact, oh shoot, what do I want? Notice, my apologies here, Paul. There's a couple things that are missing or are in a different location that I'm used to. So I'm trying to figure out where they're located at. Okay, here's if you come over to the right, notice there's 4 menu items on the side. There's audio, effects, color, and edit. I have clicked in the effects mode. Now we're on, like I said, that transition, the filters, the blend. I'm going to take the dissolve, I bring it down. And it's still not working. What the heck? Okay, I'm going to do a different way. Notice right here, quick transition. Right here in the middle of the timeline. Click on quick transition. Make sure this target drive, well, is to where you need it saved. Hit add and render. Now notice it's interesting. I'm getting errors like other people. Yeah. Notice there's now a fade. We got a fade there. So I'm back in edit. So that's that fade, and I've got the 3 programs. Now let's say like there. Notice the audio. If you look on this bar, notice the audio is a little loud. The reason I'm saying the audio is kind of loud is that yellow is popping up. It should be almost to the green level. If I click on audio, notice this is track 1 and 2. Notice I got track 1 and track 2 right here. Now, if we look at the timeline, I'm going to come back down, play a little audio other places. Notice audio is very loud. We can do a couple things. If you come back to this audio board, see this slider on the far right is the whole program. So all I got to do is lower it. I'm going to lower it big time. Okay, obviously you see that's way too quiet. Let's bring it up a little bit. Now a little bit of yellow is not bad, but we were way in the yellow last time. So I'm going to lower again. There you go. Notice our levels over here on the side, our audio meter. Okay, now I'm going to go back up to edit. I'm going to come over here to the right. Click on edit. Now I'm back to the edit bay. These are your 3 programs that you wanted to do. Again, you want to get rid of this, or better yet, say you want to do something on program 1. See program 1 down here in the sequence? Double click the sequence and notice it popped up in the sequence window. Any of these clips over here in the sequence, or if you notice it's like a long film clip or film strip, will always open up in the sequence window. If I go to the clips and you notice I've got 2 different ones here, but they're kind of the same. They're like 1 frame of film. They'll always come up in this source monitor. I think that's all the stuff. I don't want to tell you how to output this stuff or publish this stuff. I know you said you found publish. I don't want to go through the output until I experiment myself, because as I told you, I have not been on this until yesterday. It was not on my computer until yesterday. And this does work a little bit different than the one we have at work. The one at work I'm very familiar with. This one, unfortunately, I am not. So those are the points I found. You have any questions, jot notes, obviously start and stop, whatever you want to do on the video. And hopefully this helps you out, Paul. It sounded like you got a good start going, and hopefully what I've done will be able to help you out. So yeah, so hopefully good luck. You do have my phone number. You do have my email. Feel free to touch base with me if you need to figure out something. We'll talk to you later.